Hey guys, I'm Nicholas. I've been a freelance for 5 years now, and I want to share you some advice to prepare for your oral exams you may have. Over the years, I've been to over more than 300, I think, oral exams as an examiner, and I wanted to share what I saw. Let's get into it. First thing, when you have an oral exam, you have to think to breathe. You don't want to fill all the voids in your presentations. Because actually, stuff will happen when you breathe, first for you and then for your examiner. Let's start with you. When you breathe, you can have your ideas straight in order and you can start better for the next idea in your presentation. The thing is, for the examiner, you don't think about it necessarily, but the examiner may have lots and lots of oral exams in his day or through his week too. And it can be so crazy tiring. You wouldn't imagine when you see projects after projects, etc. I've been doing days with 8 oral exams at once, maybe 10 at some point. It was completely crazy. And when you have a student who arrives and who's like blah 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 blah, blah, blah very very quickly, it's so hard to follow. So when you breathe, the examiner breathe too. So please think about it. It's good for everyone. You don't need to fill voids. It's okay. Second thing is the slides. You may very likely have some slides to present. There is some rules about slides. I don't really know how I feel about this because I'm not sure. Some people say you must have everything on your slides. Some people say you must have very little things on your slides. I'm not sure there is one rule for this. What I would say is just make the slides you're comfortable with. Don't read your slides because it's insanely boring. Like if someone is reading, like we can see the slides with a lot of text and we see him or her start reading, it's absolutely depressing as an examiner. We just fall asleep. So forget that, please. And just make the slides where you're comfortable with and the ones that make you talk to the examiner and not look at your slide. If I give you an example, maybe if you don't have any idea, what you can do is put some bullet points on your slides so you know what you're going to talk about. And then you just look at the slide, take your bullet points, and connect with your audience. And it's going to be insanely efficient because you're supposed to know your subject. You don't need to write everything. So some bullet points, you see the point, okay, I'm going to talk about this, and you turn to your audience, and that's absolutely perfect for the audience. Next thing, AI. So AI is a big subject today. I'm using it pretty much every day, like most of us. I'm absolutely not against, and I think people don't. I mean, it's not forbidden anywhere now. I mean, that depends, but I think you can use AI. But the thing is, you really don't want your AI to make your presentation. I had this case pretty recently where a student like put some AI stuff in his presentation, and he didn't check the words he had, or and it was so dangerous for him because when the questions arrived, he was completely lost because he just asked AI to put some bullet points he didn't understand himself. So it was quite messy. So you just make sure you know what you're talking about. Where AI can help you, it can be to put your ideas in order to eventually build your presentation. But I mean, it's like a very rare case, you know. And you just have to make sure you can also take ideas from AI, but you just have to make sure that you understand them and you can explain them. Next point is about the examiner. The thing to remember is the examiner is not your enemy. Actually, the examiner is way more focused on himself than on you. That's something that you need to remember whenever you have an audience or you're doing some conference or something. Like people in the room are always more focused on them than on you. So don't focus on their reactions because they focus on themselves. They don't care. And like I said earlier, like examiners can have many, many students throughout the day, and it can be so, so, so tiring. So sometimes they can have like a bad body language, like you can feel like, oh my God, they don't like it. But don't pay attention to it. You don't care. Sometimes you have examiners who can have kind of bad reaction, what I say, like some bad body language and everything. but the grade is going to be very good just because it wasn't a good time, but they still saw the work and everything. Okay, so no need to worry about this. Next thing is about questions, still about examiners. Sometimes examiners are going to ask questions that they might know the answer, just they just want to see if you know it too, or if you have the same, depending on the question. So if it happens when you have questions, when whatever question it is, if you don't know the answer properly, try to nuance what you were gonna say. I mean, you can be like, okay, I think the answer might be in this direction. I haven't been this deep or something like that. You nuance a little bit, and if you have absolutely no clue, just say, I don't know. I haven't been working on this subject, and that's okay. You are, you don't have to know absolutely everything. Everything is not necessarily critical. So if you don't know the answer to a question, just say I don't know. The thing to not do is try to build up a terrible answer, and the examiner knows that um, it's false, and you're just trying to say some um, bad things, let's say, with big fake confidence. And this is the worst experience as an examiner because we feel like you think we're stupid, and it's really a bad idea to do. So just say, I don't know. Other thing about questions, some people might think there are some trap questions. So in this case, it's quite often not the case. But if you think it is, or if an examiner disagree on what you're saying and everything, try not to never confront the examiner. You don't mind if the examiner wants to be right on a subject, and if you think you're right too, don't go into the debate and say that's okay. I mean, your main goal is just to pass the exam and not to be right facing this examiner. Okay, remember he's the one who is putting the grade on your name. And finally, last point, but not least, you have to work your subject like crazy. I didn't start with that because it's the most boring part, but the more you work your subject before, the more easy it's gonna be. You have to be able to talk about your subject for hours on your own and to what did I write? The question might not be the ones, yeah, because the questions might not be the one you anticipated. So the more you know, the more it's going to be easy to answer the questions. And what will remember the examiners is the fact that you worked like crazy your subject, even if your presentation is not perfect, even if you're stressed out during the presentation, etc. It's not so bad because you knew the subject. We could see you study the thing, which is the main point of studying, and you could answer some questions. So just don't worry about this. Everything is gonna be fine, and good luck for your next oral exam.